It's until you start arranging the alphabet in alphabetical order.
Oh, yeah. Or on your own? Right.
Okay, well, at least I was here for the rain.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite moment so far will be our church in the cafe.
Yeah.
Right?
Want to stick around?
We're going to start throwing shit.
This is not a positive thing.
No, I'm joking.
I don't want to be on your way.
Try it at Zelenskiy.
Throw
the game. Boomerang, but it won't come back.
I was trying to do one of those boomerang shots, but it didn't come back.
Because your top of your head will get very sick.
I just want to back.
Yeah, but where's that going to go?
Here.
Yeah, still
Good.
That's about it.
Thanks.
I don't know about.
You're good. Thanks.
Traffic, eh? Can you hear the siren? Can you hear the siren? Fire engine, ambulance. All I can see is my team back over there. Can you hear the siren? Should I ask my team just to film or drive?
You know my secret Pretoria weapon? Leave really early, and then you go to the Seattle at Loftus office block. Open at 7. Wi-Fi.
What time they open?
7. If not 6:30.
You're not on bike at all.
I just got my vest on.
There's one that...
I've not seen it.
What the latest?
No, 2010. She's a 300cc matte black, beautiful.
What did you do?
Just go running around.
Unless it's raining, I live on it.
Yeah.
Timber, you know the trophy to it. Timber trophy to it.
Yeah.
I did that on that vest. I didn't have that vest.
You wouldn't have done it.
$150 a week on petrol. A week. So it's 500 a month on petrol. No gears, you know. Vesta is like shooting just points and go. Yeah, I really love it. I was taking too many chances on those big bikes, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
You won't do it again.
Probably not.
What is it? Unsafe.
Live tape of the
You know what I was doing? I was going on assignment on my own, on the big GS, and then making some crazy move to come back to Joburg from Durban on dirt roads, and then riding too fast on dirt roads. Right? And then, oh yeah, there's that little thing called age and wisdom.
Car. Kicks in.
Kicks in the early 50s. Yeah. Yes, and even a branded umbrella. Mind you, at least EPA wasn't thrown out of the White House.
That raises questions, yeah?
No, but the AP's allowed back in. Do you see that? The judge said Trump can't exclude anyone.
2 centimeters extra? Does that work?
Yeah, so of course.
I'm catching a lot of... Got a lot of hot spots. If you go forward...
Just don't move backwards because you'll fall.
I won't move back. This give me even a balance.
Yeah, no. Let's be honest, I spent more money on motorbikes.
Hold on, I'm just checking cars. You can do as you like.
Have we got an incoming warning?
It's coming. Yeah, I'm just messing with everybody.
Eye focus on, eye detection, yes, right eye. Poof. You said all that stuff. Good eye detection. I actually saw a middle-aged dude like me wearing a t-shirt that just said analog. And I get it. I don't wear branded t-shirts much, but I could do that. I could do an analog t-shirt.
GS. GS, not the no.
Sorry, buddy. No. But I will say that focus, brother. I don't use it very often, but for some of this where they cut
It's futuristic. I just want to look at it.
I know that thing. I know it's true.
I don't use it for sport. Yeah, no. I shot fashion once, and that was just unbelievable. It locked onto the model when she started the ramp and just stayed on it all the way down. Then maybe the firmware or the algorithm is not quite right. I get that. So I do use it in like specific incidents, not general news or sport. Rugby. So, but for this, oof.
Yes, I'm not being the stage. Yes.
Yeah, like this, on there, straight on that cop's eye.
Just use this number. For a long time, I just
Go straight.
Who wants to take a bet? When the camp starts, it's Thomas and so much right now.
Okay, so it's hunting still. Yeah. 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 So, was there another attack in the Ukraine?
Yeah, that's why then that.
Because of course the Ukraine attacked Russia, according to Monsignor Trump. Like, can I grab one? Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, bud.
Give Dion there if you want.
Dion, do you want to haul it?
Alright, thanks.
Oh, this one, ne?
You know my...
Who wants to take a bet? Mr. and Mrs.
You know
Smith will win everything.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Is Rennie. R-E-N-N-I-E. I have no idea where it comes from. But...
And
when I was younger, I was going to the girls. If you got a headache, you want to suck on a ring?
What does he have Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
See, miraculously the rain went away.
Yeah, move!
I can see fools on it today. Slightly grumpy, but on it.
I was just...
They're actually really nice, these really. No, they're not really. Remember the B-roll video came
that was an ambulance.
every Sunday. The last 3 years.
remix.
I just do it on my phone now, and then I don't edit. Send it to Madrid. Someone in Madrid gets my video, chops it up, does something amazing with it, sends it out.
It's 11:05.
We didn't want this to happen again.
Yeah.
Okay, sirens incoming,
Okay,
incoming,
you can take out your card.
dash down, call observe, side fire. Shit, I'm so nervous. I've never done this. Don't even cut in. Okay, Ale.
Ale.
Yalla.
Have I got a card in my camera?
Hey, we're not Kim. Hey.
I'm not joking, bro.
We're double checking, yeah. I know
Yeah.
it's there,
Yeah,
but I'm checking again.
batteries and cards.
Monsieur le Président,
Can you do that again? I didn't have a card in my camera.
please.
Sorry.
Mr. Direct. Mbeki, angathoka kumithaba.
What's Ukrainian for smile?
Do it again,
I don't know. I don't know. Google. Google's free.
Hey, it's too much traffic up there, man,
There is a lot.
for my liking.
I hope he's wearing a suit, eh?
No.
I'm
It should be like a black
No, I'm
or a
joking.
green
Remember
something.
when he went to the White House?
You got one of those camouflage suits from MK.
Yeah, so disrespectful. He didn't come in a suit. Then someone found a picture of Winston Churchill not in a suit.
Bathrobe.
Yeah, back in the day with a gin in his hand.
Should've just fucked up in his bathrobe, man.
B-roll.
Wrong silence.
There's no way to get the flex in the picture. With those guys there.
Oh, no.
No,
You
it
can
won't be.
forget that.
Never. Must forget about the team picture. And that Ukraine photographer guy, he's not making up his mind.
Even the guys on the front as well. Guys, if you can afford to raise your hands up, ne?
The cameras, huh?
Yeah.
These forget.
I don't mind seeing cameras, just not.
I wonder that guy.
I'm glad I only speak two
Mara,
languages.
at least
because I
wa
don't get
wa moemisa where the red carpet starts.
Starts,
By
yeah.
Mada.
Po-
We am more than.
But actually, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they need to get like, they can't
Yeah. Well, this is my son because the ball guy in the front is sitting there.
Jay.
Yeah, nah.
Me, it's coming.
You know what we should do? We should start like a vlog
Punch.
where we just do live feeds from our bullshit talk while we wait.
Hey, move, man.
Hey, he doesn't speak. He's from the UK.
No, I'm saying that.
Dude on the left.
Just rush.
Just fucking around with Elmwood.
He doesn't understand me.
What's moved in Ukraine? What is in Ukrainian? Is it Ukrainian?
Get your
Get your Google Translate.
Or you can say in Russian.
incoming.
Matthew, go. You see what I mean when I say this guy?
Don't take it.
Breathe. Center.
Don't take it up.
Yeah.
Center.
Hands down.
Center yourself. Breathe.
Buddy?
Such a delegation.
Is this camouflage?
No, Cyril's not there. Delegation. No?
That's definitely not it. He's wearing a suit. He's wearing a suit.
Ambassador Minister.
He's also not short enough. Shoot him anyway, I don't know who he is. Shut up. He's the Minister of Mineral Affairs. They want farm.
And the Minister of
Very
Wheat.
mineral affairs.
Of wheat.
Yeah.
Specifically wheat.
Weed and agriculture.
Wheat? No, not agriculture. Just to say weed or wheat?
I don't think it's coming. The cars are parking here now.
We'll shout loud enough, trust me. I'm not going to keep quiet.
No, the cars are parking.
Okay, change of plan, eh?
We mobbing.
Behind us.
Because the funny thing is, Timber, I mean, it's not crops, no other security. You could do that. Then we're going to send out a group.
Ito tulana tse.
Go in with the rifle. Now. I don't see top cover. I don't see any snipers. Did you? I suppose it's
You're
your
not
job
supposed to
not
see one.
Yeah, I know. Where did you see them? Well, how did you see them if they're not supposed to see? I like that.
They will hide now.
No.
2 hours before they...
But they haven't got a line of sight to here. No, we can do it. Put the wide lens on.
There might be one looking out for one of those windows.
No, rush them.
Yo. Russian attack.
Now we're all going to put on wides, and the minute you arrive, just rush them. No one can stop it. Nah, we would never do that. What's he got? A 50? He's on. And 10 minutes. Nice. Nifty 50.
Thanks, everyone.
That's now for lunch.
I don't really hear the protests.
What's that?
The protests, it's like they quiet now.
I actually contacted that Ukrainian association and asked if they had anything today, and they don't. Which was quite weird.
As I saw the ESF, I think it's going to be at the Ukrainian embassy.
Oh, right.
MK is going to be over there.
I would have thought if the commander-in-chief came to the country, they would do something.
Themba. Ke la umbrella e silver la e box. E white ba tshwereng. Ke ba tshwera umbrella. Yeah, but hurry up and wait a minute and wait a minute. Hey.
The Ukrainian security looked way harder than ours. Fuck that. Ukrainian security. As if, yeah. Take them to the West Bank of Alex and see how long they last.
Okay, give it to me.
That's a cliche, because whenever I watch Hollywood movies, the baddies are like the Afrikaners, full like Russians and Ukrainians. Yeah, it's on the blower. There's people. Yeah, quick show of face for people. Yep.
I hope somebody's watching all this live television.
I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't.
I think if anything, she
Yeah. I mean, he has to come here.
Used to only take me 1 month to do that.
somebody will speak.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
There must be feedback about what was spoken.
So my thoughts of going home at 12 is not really massive. Yeah, fair enough.
Even if it's just
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. So with the Q&A, everyone's going to be asking Zelenskiy. What's your reaction to what happened today? What about the police? Is this it? Ale, trolley's down.
Lonely
Incoming. Right. Incoming.
Look at the cameraman taking in a selfie. Yo!
Incoming. No, that's cool. Just check.
No, he's gonna come down.
Those are Ukrainian people.
Yeah. I think you're an ambassador.
That's the Ukrainian ambassador.
She is, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. Ukrainian ambassador to AP. Ukrainian ambassador to South Africa. Blonde.
Good.
Blue top.
Get it from GCIS.
But you can't sell it, dude. No copyright. He's phoning Zelenskiy. We're here. He can come. Mrs. Ambassador.
No, she just send him a WhatsApp.
Mrs. Ambassador.
Send her around. Give it away.
Well, we've got to make it fun, eh? Take your work seriously, but not yourself.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Oh, well. They're using Waze instead of Google Maps.
Please send them a live location.
Yeah.
Do you see the message? Zelenskiy is making a first stop down there at the lawns to address those guys.
Is it? Oh, cool, man. Yeah, we'll miss that picture then.
Nice one.
We'll have to pick up from the Ukraine press photography. We got people there.
I've got 6 guys now.
First forwarded to UK.
Only for you? Yeah. Before you came in, they were
We won't
saying
get it from
Vikus is the one running the drone here.
Oh, that's proper sound. That's proper fucking. Blah, blah, blah.
Coming, Cyril's coming.
Yeah, here we go.
This is going to be an important picture because it's lead story on the Guardian. Lead story on the Guardian and all the while. Zelensky to cut South Africa trip short. Ale, let's work.
Hey, bona o lo sa ikisa mo. Bona sa itsamaisa pla hae. Hey. Why? Why is she there?
He's got flu. No, he has got to come down, dude.
He must come down to the bottom of the lake.
Can't we tell GCIS now, Summer? Oh
No,
my God.
you will come down when the car gets
No, dude. Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Where's that GCS, dude? Like, my God. What's going to happen to him?
It's probably because of the flags. With the flags there.
Can I like gesture to him?
Call him out.
Sorry, sir, but you might
Say,
say
Amandla.
no.
Viva, long live
Is
the spirit
GCIS
of...
near you? Tell him to come down. No, he must come down.
Oh, Jehovah.
Comes down once. They tell him when the car is gone.
Is it? Okay, so I must relax, basically. Simmer down. Okay.
So to speak.
Breathe, Kim. Do some yoga.
Why
Mr.
What's
President.
with the instructions here?
Simba, I hope your theory is right, brother.
It's not raining, so he normally stops and
Okay. Does the car move?
Yeah, you can, but this way.
Breathe, Kimba. Breathe.
Yeah,
about
Mateo.
me,
Come into the present moment.
and then they check who's here.
Ale. Yeah. Ah, there he comes. Thanks, Simba, for calming my nerves, bro.
Hey, look at all that.
Tim, are you right there?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm chilled, bro. No pressure. Sit.
What kind of food?
Oh, okay,
Hey, they're killing
How
us.
can we
No,
flip
we're not
Coco?
Benz.
We're not the enemy, bro. Don't look at us. Oh my God. Whoa! Whoa!
Come on, I can't see shit.
No. Fucking bodyguard in the way. I can't believe it. Yo, hey. Sorry.
Can you start?
James! Go to deep sleep.
Check hands. Check.
Oh my God. Crikey.
Yo, that was fucked up.
Oh,
Another second. Yeah, another one.
yes,
Another one.
oh wow.
Yeah. Come on. Handshake. Handshake.
Handshake. Yes, thank you. Good. Well done.
Okay.
Allez. Robert.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Go to the other spot. Oh, okay.
Crikey, those bodyguards. I think you're good. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, bro. Sorry, man.
Give me a poncho.
For the next dish. Okay. Yeah.
I know.
I'll manage, my brother. Don't stress, don't stress. Yeah, fine.
We have high.
Sure. Yeah. Kele I'm saying again. Around the bend. Okay, sure. Okay, sure.
Thanks, Nime out.
We just
no illness. So I'm happy to see all of you in good shape.
You'll be sitting, yeah.
Is it a bit low?
You'll sit down, yeah.
Do we need to... Are you talking about the light or the sound? Sound. May we have
Director
the
Mike.
sound levels up, please. Let's just
Program
check.
Director
Any
Mike
better?
testing.
You need it
Shoni.
up?
Testing.
Anande, are you able to just get the sound levels up a bit? Thank you. Sounds like there's some feedback threatening, but is that livable? Crispin? We are. Okay. I think so. Yeah. Okay. May I just ask one of the engineers to join me up front, please?
1, 2, low,
Just one
1,
of the
2,
engineers.
testing 1, 2.
Anande, I just need one engineer to join me here, please.
Okay. Sorry, okay, it's fine. Separate then one for the program director, right? The program director. Yeah, you can do it. Huh? Almost giving today. I don't think almost give me.
Kujo Sabata.
I almost give me today. I choose. Eh? You're not on the lineup.
Kujo.
Program Director Mike testing. Program Director Mike 1, 2. All levels fine.
And are the levels fine now? Are the levels fine? Let's just check this out, please. Kujo.
Let's. The channel.
Yeah.
Is it working?
One is for English, and then okay, the German option.
1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2.
Go to 2.
Yeah, 1, 2, 2, sound check, yeah, 1, 2. Yeah, 1, 2, 2, yeah.
on. It's fine when we give them the mic.
It's a full house. Yeah. It's a full house. All right. Yeah, the chairs. So don't just sit here. All right. Jeez, we've never had so many. It's incredible.
And for more.
Are they all?
So 1 2. Test the mic 1 2. Yes 1 2. Testing 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Testing mic 1 2.
So that is on channel 2.
Yeah, Ukrainian channel 2. Yeah. Working. Yeah, good.
Good.
Yeah, thank you so much.
President of Ukraine will be here, right?
Yes. Okay. Just a second. My camera. All good? All good.
Vice Christian. Oh yeah, no question. Okay. Right. Right. Yeah, vale la Ladies and gentlemen of the media, may we all rise to welcome President Ramaphosa and President Zelenskiy.
I see. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. Your Excellency, President Ramaphosa, Your Excellency, President Zelenskiy, we will now commence with a brief media engagement. I'll first invite President Ramaphosa to deliver his remarks. In turn, he will then invite President Zelenskiy to do the same. Thereafter, we'll open the floor to questions as agreed. Mr. President.
Thank you, Vincent. Your Excellency, President Zelensky, President of Ukraine, ambassadors and ministers from both Ukraine and South Africa who are here, and senior officials of both our governments, and of course members of the media. It is my distinct honor to receive President Zelensky here in South Africa, together with his delegation. President Zelensky and I have met on a number of occasions in various summits, and he's always expressed the desire to come to South Africa. And because of the links that we've had with Ukraine and himself, we thought it wise that he should come. This official working visit reflects our shared commitment to enhancing bilateral relations between our two countries for the benefit of our peoples. This, in many ways, is a historic visit because this is the first time the head of state of Ukraine is visiting South Africa in the 33 years since we established formal diplomatic relations between South Africa and Ukraine. We acknowledge with great appreciation the support that we received from Ukraine during our liberation struggle. We recall that a number of exiled South Africans received training in education in Ukraine in a number of fields and areas. In June 2023, I had the honor of meeting President Zelenskiy in Kyiv as part of the African Peace Initiative. Since then, we have maintained ongoing dialogue between our two countries and our diplomats. We've been engaging together with many other countries in the various preparatory talks for installing peace in Ukraine, and we've engaged in a number of other initiatives. For instance, when the African Peace Initiative leaders, African leaders were in Ukraine and Russia, one of the issues that we put on the table was a comprehensive and unconditional ceasefire. We also put on the table the return of the children who were taken to Russia. We also put on the table the exchange of those soldiers who were either captured by Russia or Ukraine. So the dealings that we have had with other countries, with Ukraine, have been quite extensive in a number of ways. We have just concluded with President Zelenskiy successful talks during which we exchanged views on how to consolidate and deepen the bilateral relations between our two countries. We also discussed how ministers from both sides can engage to deepen and broaden those relations. We noted a growing interest in expanding relations in peace diplomacy, post-conflict reconstruction and development, and the empowerment of our people, especially women. We also discussed the opportunities for cooperation in areas such as agriculture, trade, education, infrastructure, and energy, and other social engagements. We are pleased that our ministers have held discussions amongst themselves to strengthen the various areas in which we can cooperate between our two respective countries. We acknowledge the significant strides that Ukraine has taken, and in particular, President Zelenskiy, to expand relations with the African continent. We note the provision of grain in areas of food, the expansion of agricultural cooperation, and the opening up of the grain hub to the port of Mombasa in Kenya. These are direct outcomes of discussions that were held when we visited Kyiv in June 2023 as part of the African Peace Initiative. Our engagement today was an opportunity to discuss our shared interest in advancing peace, security, stability, and sustainable development on the continent, in Ukraine, and across the world. We have reinforced our common commitment to the respect of the rule of law, in international relations, multilateralism, the central role that the United Nations plays in global governance, and the maintenance of global peace and security. South Africa is deeply concerned about the continuing conflict in Ukraine, the continuing loss of civilian lives, the damage to critical infrastructure, and deteriorating humanitarian situation. South Africa believes that the only path to peace is through diplomacy, inclusive dialogue, and a commitment to the principles of the United Nations Charter. This includes the principle that all member states should settle their international disputes by peaceful means. From the experience of our own journey from the nightmare of apartheid to democracy, we value the importance of engaging all parties to conflicts to achieve peace and a just, enduring solution to wars and conflicts. If there is one thing that our history as South Africans has taught us, it is that diplomacy and dialogue are more powerful than any weapon that anyone can use. It is this understanding that informed South Africa to participate in the African Peace Initiative and South Africa's subsequent and continuing participation in the Ukraine peace formula. I had an opportunity to speak to President Trump yesterday, or this morning rather, to discuss the peace process in Ukraine. We both agreed that the war should be brought to an end as soon as possible to prevent further death and destruction. President Trump and I also agreed to meet soon to address the various other matters regarding our relations between South Africa and the United States. We both spoke about the need to foster good relations between our two countries. Earlier in the week, I had a call with President Volodymyr Putin, where we both committed to work together towards a peaceful resolution of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. South Africa stands ready to continue to support all credible as well as inclusive multilateral efforts at achieving a just and sustainable comprehensive peace. And we call upon all parties, both Russia and Ukraine, to ensure that there is a comprehensive ceasefire, an unconditional ceasefire, so that discussions and negotiations can start between the two countries. President Zelenskiy, as he himself will say, told me that as Ukraine, they are ready to engage in discussions and negotiations with Russia, and they are also ready to have a comprehensive, unconditional ceasefire. This, we believe, is the best way towards ending the war between Russia and Ukraine. So we have today, between myself and President Zelenskiy, reaffirmed the bonds of friendship and solidarity that exist between our two countries. We look forward to continued engagement and cooperation that benefits our peoples and our two countries. President Zelenskiy, I hope that you will leave our shores of South Africa with good memories, much as your visit has been really short. I do hope that in time to come, you will come back to visit the most beautiful country in the world, South Africa. Thank you very much.
Дуже дякую. Шановний президент, шановний пане президенте Рамафоза, шановні присутні, шановні наші команди, присутні журналісти. Сьогодні для мене честь бути з першим візитом в вашій державі. І тим більше напередодні Дня Свободи. Це свято, що відображає головні цінності вашого народу і поєднує нас з вами, наше прагнення до свободи, наше прагнення до незалежності, до рівності і поваги. Все це є цінностями, які зрозумілі в усіх частинах світу. Ми боремось заради нашої свободи у повномасштабній війні вже більше, ніж 3 роки. Ми боремось проти окупації Росії, проти принижень наших людей, проти будь-яких знущань з України і з українців. Сьогодні вранці наша країна пройшла через нову російську атаку, дуже масштабну, дуже. Більш ніж 200 повітряних цілей. Це ракети, в тому числі балістичні та ударні дрони. На жаль, на превеликий жаль, є руйнування, є втрати у нашій столиці, в інших наших містах, в усіх регіонах України. Більш ніж 80 людей поранені цими ударами. Сьогодні, на жаль, є загиблі в Києві, серед загиблих рідні брат, сестра, хлопцю був 21 рік, дівчинці 19 років. І мої співчуття усім, хто втратив рідних, близьких людей. Зараз, коли я говорю, ще тривають рятувальні операції, через цю російську атаку я вирішив скоротити програму візиту до вашої прекрасної країни, але залишаю нашого міністра закордонних справ, щоб проявити нашу повагу і провести всі зустрічі, які планувались, і які дуже важливі на рівні наших міністрів і з лідерами громадської думки, і також зі студентами вашої країни. Ми вдячні вам за повагу до України, за підтримку і однакове з нами відчуття того, що цю війну треба якнайшвидше завершувати. Ми сьогодні саме про це найперше говорили з паном президентом, з президентом Рамафозою. Коли пан президент був з візитом в Україні, він казав мені, і це були дуже, вважаю, дуже правильні слова, що потрібне припинення вогню, безумовне припинення вогню. І я погоджувався і говорив у відповідь, що все залежить від бажання Росії. Саме в Москві мають ухвалити рішення про тишу та віддати потрібні накази їхній російській армії. Ви знаєте, цього року на Великдень була можливість припинити вогонь, і ми були абсолютно готові до цього та діяли дзеркально, абсолютно на тишу відповідали тишою, але від російських ударів захищалась. На жаль, після Великодня Росія поновила штурми на фронті та удари по наших містах, по наших селах, по цивільній інфраструктурі. Сьогодні ми говорили з президентом про те, як важливо, щоб глобальні зусилля зараз максимально об'єднались та щоб був потрібний тиск на Росію, щоб закінчити війну, тиск заради миру. Також ми говорили про можливості на рівні Великої Двадцятки. Південна Африка зараз головує у G20, і роль країн Двадцятки може бути значно більшою у захисті життя, і ми дуже на це розраховуємо. Звісно, дуже важливий двосторонній порядок денний. Україна має значну силу в гарантуванні енергетичної безпеки і в таких галузях промисловості, як виробництво добрив. Також ми маємо хороші результати в безпекових виробництвах і в технологіях. І все це може бути предметом нашої спільної роботи з партнерами. Ми готові працювати разом з Південною Африкою, щоб побудувати в вашій країні більш необхідних виробництв для сучасної і стійкої енергетики, більш нових експортних можливостей. Україна пропонує Південній Африці створити такий спільний мінеральний хаб для виробництва і транспортування добрив, який підтримує весь ваш регіон. І є значний потенціал в агропромисловому секторі. Наші спільні проекти в сільському господарстві і інших галузях можуть збільшити двосторонню торгівлю України та Південної Африки. Ми готові працювати разом для створення сучасних систем безпеки, зокрема на об'єктах, як ваші національні парки та міста, нові технологічні кроки з нашого боку, ми готові про це говорити. Ми можемо також працювати разом для суттєвого збільшення генерації електроенергії в вашій країні від атомної до відновлювальної енергетики. Доступна, дешева енергія завжди допомагає економічному зростанню. Я доручив нашим урядовцям детально опрацювати кожен можливий спільний проєкт між нашими країнами. І ще одне. Сьогодні я передав президенту Рамафозі список з 400 українських дітей. І це дуже важливо для нас, які зараз проти їхньої волі знаходяться в Росії. На жаль, через війну ми маємо цю страшну проблему. Росіяни викрали в Україні на окупованій території десятки тисяч дітей. Ми маємо повернути всіх. І так само, як тисячі полонених, військових та цивільних, які роками утримуються в тюрмах Росії і утримуються в нелюдських умовах. Південна Африка є співлідером у глобальній коаліції для повернення українських дітей. Я дуже сподіваюся, що президент Рамафоза допоможе нам їх повернути. Дякую ще раз за цей візит. Дякую за можливість, за нашу зустріч. І дуже віримо, що президент, Південна Африка і інші партнери в Африці допоможуть зупинити Росію і змусити Путіна підтримати режим повного, безумовного припинення вогню. Дякую. Слава Україні!
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. We'll now open the floor to questions. We had agreed that we'll take 3 questions from the South African side, 3 questions from our international colleagues, and the first question will go to Ms. Jones from the BBC. If you could please introduce yourself.
Hi, good morning. This is Maini Jones with the BBC. This question is for President Zelensky, but also President Ramaphosa. It'd be good to get your thoughts on it. Do you think that this night's attacks on Kyiv by Russia were deliberate, tied to your visit here? And if so, why?
We'll take another question. Sophie? Can we please get the mic to the front? Thank you.
Thank you, Sophie Mkwena from the South African Broadcasting Corporation. My question is directed to President Zelensky and President Ramaphosa. The issue of the peace process has been a thorny one with different interest groups in terms of regions and countries. But President Ramaphosa, you spoke to President Trump, you spoke to President Zelensky, you spoke to President Putin, and you do engage with the European Union. Is there a possibility for ceasefire? And who will be the guarantors? And this question is directed to both President Ramaphosa and President Zelensky. And lastly, on the President Trump's issue in particular, and the question is directed to the 2 leaders. The United States of America in recent time has been pushing for an agreement. And it looks like yesterday Washington was impatient. Is there a room for the U.S. posture in terms of playing a more productive role to assist and to both leaders. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We will take those first two questions, Your Excellencies, starting with President Zelensky.
Окей, дякую дуже. Кожна така атака, вона не єдина. Це, на жаль, не єдина, це відбувається час від часу. Атаки російські, вони щоночі біля 100-120 іранських шахедів або подібних відповідних далекобійних дронів використовує Росія щоночі. Тобто ви розумієте, що більше 100 цілей щоночі є. Це як мінімум. Плюс є відповідні ракети, включаючи балістику. Тому, на жаль, я б не пов'язував ту чи іншу атаку з чимось конкретним. Сьогоднішня атака, безумовно, одна з найскладніших, найнахабніших з боку Росії. 215, якщо я не помиляюсь, зафіксовано ударних дронів, балістичних і інших ракет. По цивільній інфраструктурі, по людям, по житловому сектору, по різній інфраструктурі. Тобто це серйозний удар. З чим він пов'язаний? Ну, я думаю, що пов'язувати з візитом в Південну Африку я б не став. Безумовно, Путіну не подобається присутність України в Африці. Безумовно, йому дуже не хочеться, щоб Україна будувала нормальні людські, передусім, гуманітарні, економічні відносини з країнами вашого континенту. І завжди Росія пробувала це робити, і не тільки на африканському континенті, на жаль, і на інших континентах, і в Латинській Америці, всюди. Абсолютно всюди вони це роблять. Вони хочуть ексклюзивну присутність на континентах і в вашій країні, і в інших країнах. Це, така політика їх. Допускати це або не допускати – це вже внутрішнє рішення кожної країни. Ми зі свого боку не претендуємо на ексклюзив. Ми за добрі, продуктивні відносини з вашою країною і з іншою. І в цьому і є сенс свободи, в цьому і є сенс конкуренції, в цьому і є, в принципі, сенс, мені здається, нормального глузду, життя. В цілому люди обирають там, де їм хочеться, там, де їм приємно, там, де люди їх спільних цінностей. Ви за все це боролись. І у вас є велика перемога, і ви це знаєте. І ми боремось просто за право вибору в усіх інших напрямках. З ким працювати, з ким бути в майбутньому, з ким жити. Тому ми захищаємо саме свої права. Ось що відбувається. А Росія розуміє, що Україна стоїть, захищає свої права і тисне на наших людей. Тисне і на Америку. З чим я ще пов'язую сьогоднішній удар. Або передусім. Вчора в Лондоні була зустріч. І дійсно були присутні європейські країни, і Сполучені Штати Америки, Україна, Британія, Франція, Німеччина, Сполучені Штати Америки. Вчора була розмова. Вона закінчилась у будь-якому випадку. Вона була непроста, але конструктивна. Вона закінчилась не розбіжностями, а все одно бажанням працювати далі. Я впевнений, що Росія розраховувала на великий скандал вчора. І навіть деякі емоції лунали в медіапросторі, але це все одно емоції. Росії не подобається союз навколо України, тому що Україна, якщо вона буде на самоті, для Росії є більш легкою ціллю. Хоча, скажу вам відверто, за ці 3 роки цієї війни ми достатньо міцні, навіть в перші дні війни, коли ми були майже одні, ми змогли вистояти. Повірте, зараз ми набагато сильніші, але все одно ми більш за всіх хочемо закінчення війни. І це наше бажання. І зустріч сьогодні ми починали з президентом Рамафозою говорити не про економіку, хоча це важливо, а про те, як завершити війну, про те, як примусити до повного, безумовного припинення вогню. І друге питання у нас було не енергетична безпека, хоча це важливо, а друге питання було діти, список дітей. І Південна Африка нам з цим вже допомагала, і ми хочемо, щоб допомогла більше. Ось чого ми бажаємо, тому і пріоритетний список питань саме такий. Вчора в Лондоні, повірте мені, питання номер 1 – як закінчити війну. Як не розпочати щось нове, нову хвилю, тощо, а як зупинити Путіна. От і все. Ось і все. Це що стосується атак. Але я чесно вам скажу, так воно не працює. Якщо заявляє Росія, що вона готова до припинення вогню, треба їм зупиняти масові удари по Україні. Тому що терпець, я не знаю, у кого там щось відбувається всередині, але терпець не витримає саме українців. Розумієте? Бо ми під ударами, ніхто більше. Я нікому цього не бажаю, але ми під ударами російських ракет. Може, я дуже довго відповідаю, президент Рамафоза, вибачте мене.
Mr. President.
Every act of war is horrible, it is awful, and I would not attribute the attacks that happened in Kyiv to President Zelenskyy's visit here, because the war manifests itself in many ways and at any time, and that is why we're calling for an end to this war. This is a war that has not only affected Russia or Ukraine, it has also affected a number of other countries. That is why the African Peace Initiative leaders went to Kyiv and Moscow to plead for war and to call on the leaders, to plead for the end of the war rather, and to call on the leaders to sit around the table and negotiate the end to this war. All wars do come to an end, and it depends at what stage they come to an end, and we say it should be sooner rather than later, because the continuation of this war continues to wreak havoc, destruction of lives, infrastructure, economies of both countries are negatively affected, and indeed it affects trade between those two countries and many other countries. And it is therefore important that this war should be brought to an end, and it is a good signal from President Zelensky that Ukraine is agreeable to a ceasefire, unconditional ceasefire that is, so that discussions and negotiations can then ensue. This, we believe, is a very positive signal that should be embraced. My sister Sophie asks who would be the guarantors of this peace process. I think the world as a whole is ready to act as guarantors. We as South Africa would be willing to play our role in supporting the peace process between Ukraine and Russia. And I do believe that the leaders on the African continent who went to Russia and Ukraine would be willing to play that positive role as well. For us, it is important that this war should be brought to an end, and we would like to see an agreement, first for a ceasefire, and secondly, to bring the war to an end completely. You ask, is there room for the US to play a productive role? I do believe that yes, the United States, indeed Europe, and of course the African continent would be willing and prepared to play a productive role. And this is what we as South Africa are also prepared to do. We've been tangentially involved in this whole process of seeking to bring about peace between the two countries, as we have participated in a number of initiatives, starting off with the building peace, as well as dealing with issues, what other people may think are mundane, like the return of the children. We've been dealing with that as South Africa, so in many ways we are involved in ensuring that there is a peace process that is effective between the two countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kate Bartlett.
Yes, thank you very much. First for President Zelensky, do you have any
Just
comment?
an intro, Kate. Please introduce yourself.
I'm sorry. Kate Bartlett from NPR, National Public Radio in the US. For President Zelensky, do you have any comments on Trump's final offer? And for President Ramaphosa, do you agree with the US position that Ukraine may have to cede some territory to Russia to achieve a peace? Thanks very much.
Thank you. Peter?
Actually, my question, I suppose, to some degree overlaps with the last one. I wanted to ask Peter Fabricius from the Daily Maverick, President Zelensky, that having rejected the Trump administration's peace plan on the issues of Crimea, NATO, etc., what is next? What are you prepared to concede, if anything, in order to advance the peace process? And may I ask President Ramaphosa, did President Trump, in his call to you, why did he call you today? Did he call you to ask you to put pressure on President Zelensky to agree to his peace plan? Or, the two events are presumably not coincidental. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Nelly and Kanita, those will be the last two questions. If you can just please keep your questions brief.
Thank you.
Thank
Nellie
you.
Payton from Reuters. For President Zelensky, the U.S. has threatened to abandon its peace effort if there's no progress. Does Ukraine have a plan B if that happens? And for President Ramaphosa, was there any discussion in your call with President Trump about the chance of the U.S. pulling out of this process? Thanks.
Thank you. Kanita?
Thank you very much, Kanita Hunter from Newsroom Africa. To President Zelensky, the war in Ukraine has obviously surpassed 1,100 days, and South Africa has obviously had experience with negotiated settlements to end apartheid. Can you perhaps explain to us what are you willing to compromise on in these peace talks that you say you're willing to participate in, and what you are not willing to compromise on? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. That's the last round of questions. We'll start with President Zelensky.
Окей. Дякую. Тут було дуже багато запитань. Спробуємо трішки спочатку. Так, президент Трамп, його команда в Саудівській Аравії запропонували безумовно припинення вогню. Україна це акцептувала, безумовно, Росія ні. Далі ми чули сигнали в медіапросторі, як я сказав, Великдень тощо, що Росія начебто готова, навіть не маючи ніяких стосунків, навіть маючи війну. Ми в медіапростор так само передали, хоч це не офіційні заяви, ми передали, що ми готові, і так і було. Ми готові до дзеркальних кроків. Росія не стріляла, ми не відповідали. Президент Трамп запропонував мінерал-угоду. Все, що було поза Конституцією України, так, ми прибрали. І ми одразу пішли на меморандум, який не йшов в розріз нашому законодавству, і ми підписали. Президент Трамп і Сполучені Штати Америки сказали, що якщо одна із сторін не погодиться на повне припинення вогню і на інші додаткові кроки, які наближають сторони до закінчення війни, будуть сильні кроки вперед. включаючи санкційні тощо. Ми все це так і сприймаємо. Ми все робимо, що пропонували партнери, тільки те, що суперечить нашому законодавству і Конституції, ми не можемо робити. І це зрозуміло, бо навіть боротьба за незалежність нашої держави, за наш суверенітет і за територіальну цілісність – це наше виживання. І тут ми абсолютно прямі і абсолютно прозорі. Я не бачу зараз сильного тиску на Росію і нових якихось сильних санкційних пакетів проти агресії Російської Федерації. Ну, поки що ми дуже надіємось. Без закидів, абсолютно без емоцій і закидів дуже прямо говоримо. Вважаємо, що при більшому тиску на Російську Федерацію ми зможемо наблизити наші сторони, якщо хочете, хоча ми наближені, окей, дипломатичною мовою зможемо наблизити сторону до повного безумовного припинення вогню. Це крок номер 1. І коли ми говоримо про ваших запитання, про компроміси тощо, я вважаю, що на нас напали, нас окупували територію, вбити тисячі, десятки тисяч людей, заживо поховано багато дітей і дорослих, і те, що Україна готова сісти за стіл перемовин після ceasefire, після повного припинення вогню з терористами, які все це влаштували на нашій землі, виключно на нашій землі, це великий компроміс. Друга історія. Ми не хочемо, щоб ця війна продовжувалась. І тому ми говоримо, що перший крок – ceasefire. І тут не треба, тут, скажімо так, всі ініціативи, вони важливі. Різні ініціативи можуть бути, але все одно кожен з лідерів, який пропонує ту чи іншу мирну ініціативу, починає з чого? Повне, безумовне припинення вогню. Всі на це погоджуються, окрім Російської Федерації. Друге, нам треба повернути дітей. Це червона лінія – не забути дітей. Так, ми не збираємось забувати наших громадян. Це знов-таки наша Конституція, права, обов'язки наші. Далі, ми хочемо зробити обмін. Всіх на всіх. Військових. Повернути цивільних. Повернути журналістів. Перші окупації України були в 2014 році. Люди сидять майже 12 років за ґратами в Росії. Ми хочемо повернути людей додому. Ми хочемо повернути дітей батькам, дідусям, якщо їх батьки загинули в час цієї війни. Ми не хочемо від цього відмовлятись. Так, і це червона лінія. Кому вона заважає? Що тут неправильного? Хто буде гарантом? Дивіться, передусім, номер 1, перед тим, як говорити про хто може бути гарантом, треба зрозуміти гарантом чого. Ми дуже надіємося і віримо, що Сполучені Штати Америки можуть тиснути сильніше і буде повне припинення вогню. Але є дуже серйозний момент. Хто буде гарантом? Гарантом, передусім, гарантій безпеки для України, бо не хочеться, щоб це був заморожений конфлікт, і через рік, 2, 3 почнеться війна. Знов почнеться війна. І в цьому всі повинні бути зацікавлені, що гарантами можуть бути сильні країни або сильні союзи. Я не хочу сьогодні говорити дуже багато про НАТО, але на нашому континенті це зрозумілий формат. І якщо союзники не підтримують нашу участь в НАТО, ми говоримо завжди, послухайте, якщо ви не підтримуєте, це ви є членами НАТО. Росія не може накладати вето. Це ваше рішення. Подобається нам воно чи не подобається, але ви свободні люди, це ваше рішення. Окей, дайте інші гарантії безпеки. І ми хочемо, щоб серед гарантерів безпеки були сильні гравці, у кого є сила. Хто не боїться Росії і хто має вплив на Росію. Безумовно економічні, безумовно історичні. Безумовно повинні бути Сполучені Штати Америки. Безумовно повинна бути Європа. через те, що ми знаходимося в Європі. І ми б дуже хотіли, щоб також такими сильними лідерами, які б нам допомагали і гарантували спокій в нашій частині світу, сьогодні вже так не можна казати. Раніше так можна було казати. Сьогодні такі технології, що в Україні війна, спокою не буде в усьому світі. Така війна сучасна, на жаль, ось така. І тому ми хочемо, щоб весь світ також підтримував мирні ініціативи і змусив Росію закінчити цю війну. Ми б хотіли, щоб представники африканського континенту також були серед цих лідерів. Чому в нас була зустріч, і абсолютно правильна зустріч. Президент Рамафоза про це сказав, і він був у нас з іншими африканськими лідерами. І всі потім поїхали до Москви. І також говорити про unconditional ceasefire. Всі говорять. Нема сенсу без припинення вогню безумовного говорити про будь-які червоні лінії. Повірте мені, це втягування в дуже довгий процес, в дуже довгу війну, яка може йти дуже-дуже довго. Припинення вогню – це political will, good will. Показати, що сторони хочуть закінчити війну. А інші лідери допоможуть її завершити. Допоможуть. Хтось буде допомагати політично, хтось іншими своїми інструментами. Але це другий крок. І які компроміси з територіями ви запитали, то що, дивіться, дуже важливо розуміти, Сполучені Штати Америки запропонували своє бачення. В Лондоні була зустріч. Значить, там була відповідна стратегія, яку вони запропонували. Конструктивно наша команда, європейська команда і представники Сполучених Штатів поговорили, і на папері з'явилися відповідні пункти. Після пропозиції Сполучених Штатів з'явились інші папіри. І я вважаю, що сьогодні цей формат, цей документ знаходиться на столі у президента Трампа. Все, що суперечить нашим цінностям або нашій Конституції, не може бути в будь-яких домовленостях. I don't remember really how many questions. I don't remember. Mr. President, I try to answer to everything. I'm not sure, but sorry if I forgot something from your questions.
Yes, there were many questions, and I don't remember them all as well, but let me give it a try. The lady from NPR asked whether we agree that Ukraine may have to cede territory. That I see as something that amounts to a precondition. And I think what we should focus on is that there is a willingness and a commitment from Ukraine for an unconditional ceasefire. An unconditional ceasefire sets a very good and positive tone to negotiations to commence. It is a confidence-building measure that should be a key ingredient in a negotiation process. So I see this as a great progress. When I last met President Zelenskiy in New York on the side of the United Nations General Assembly, he was grappling with this whole question of, say, preconditions. And I know that he expressed a very strong view on security measures to be put in place or guarantees. And I shared our own South African experience with him and said that the negotiations that brought an end to the nightmare of apartheid were held on a no precondition basis. The issues that became conditions emerged out of the negotiations. And we never put preconditions before the negotiations commenced. And that was a great advantage to our whole process of bringing an end to apartheid. And I therefore believe that President Zelenskyy's agreement and commitment to an unconditional ceasefire should be seen in positive light, as the issues about ceding territory and everything else should be negotiated at the negotiating table or talked about at the negotiating table. And of course, once a ceasefire is in place, it is a process that will have built confidence that indeed anything but everything can be discussed and negotiated around the table. Peter Fabricius wants to know whether the call with President Trump was meant to sort of precede this visit. No, the call between myself and President Trump was long in the making, and I last spoke to President Trump in January as he was going to be inaugurated, when I congratulated him. So we've had a second call now, which was a very cordial discussion. And of course, as President Zelensky is paying a visit here, the issue of the war in Ukraine and Russia came up, and we discussed that as well as many other issues that we touched on. The lady from Reuters wanted to know about the U.S. pulling out of the peace process. Of course, it is the U.S. that needs to decide on the role they want to play. We believe that the U.S. has an important role to play, as does Europe, and indeed as does other countries as well, who have been making a number of initiatives regarding this war, China and Brazil, as well as the African countries who went to Moscow and Kyiv. So all of us have a role to play, and we would urge everyone to continue playing a role, because peace is important for everyone in the world. War is horrible and must be avoided at all costs. And that is why we continue to call for the end of this war between Russia and Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. This brings us to the end of this media briefing. Thank you, President Zelensky and President Ramaphosa. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing all of you next week during my media briefing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next week.